I'm already doing sit-ups. I'm going to try and get that.
There you go.
And even if it doesn't work out for me as Frankie in live action, at least my wife will get to enjoy the Speedo show.
I can see you possibly pulling off of Frankie. Oh, yeah, you gotta get your super right and there you go. I love it. Man, the ending scene when you're talking to Werner and it's like, hogwash, the beast I felled was clearly bigger. Do you question my honor? Your honor, I question your sanity. It's like, oh my God, that was so perfect. And like the bickering back and forth. It's like, man,
but also so happy to be back bickering. You know what I mean? There are those married couples who bicker and you're like, wow, they're having a tough time. And then there's married couples who bicker and you're like, they are loving it. We're all, hey, we might as well not be here, but they're having their best time right now. What's up? My name's Brendan Sean Murray. I play Brogy on the live action One Piece Season 2. And this is the Straw Hat Podcast.
Welcome back to the Straw Hat Podcast, guys. We have a special interview today. Man, oh man, if you've seen the live action, then you can understand why this is a big time conversation. The man himself, Brendan, is here. The Red Ogre, Brogy, is here to have a conversation with us today. I'm looking forward to it.
Delighted to be here.
There you go. There you go, man. So it's going to be a good conversation. Definitely happy for it. Brendan, first off, thank you for your time, man. Thank you for sitting down.
And thank you for having me. Thank you for just being there in the trenches and taking the journey with us, man. I love the content. Keep it up. We need more people like you. But I must say, it's just nice to know there are other people out there who love it, maybe even more than I do. Like it's beautiful. It's gorgeous. I love how some of my favorite people, no matter where they are in the world, they all just kind of love manga and anime on a certain level. They can appreciate it. You know, even if they're like, I don't know if that's all for me. Some of them is so up their alley. It's beautiful. So keep flying your flag, bro.
Absolutely. So before we get too deep into the conversation about Brogy and season 2 of live action, the first thing I always like to ask is just talk a little bit about your acting journey up to the point to where you got to the live action, because I know you've been in a lot of different films. I know you've had a lot of different experiences through there.
I've been around there. I've been acting for 20 years. So
there you go. There you go. So just give me just a quick run through of your journey up to this point, and we can start with that.
Oh man, I'll try to keep it quick. I promise. No, man. So I coming out of school, there were a couple of different things I could go into learning how to do. And for some reason, it was acting and just studying people, just understanding why people thought the way they did, and just playing, man, just imaginary play, just handing yourself over completely to this other world, being this other person, doing these other things. That sounded amazing. So I tried to get into like one of the toughest drama schools here in South Africa, because I thought, you know, like if I can't crack those auditions, then I'm probably not going to crack other auditions going forward. So this is like an acid test. So like I did like high school plays, but we never really had like drama as a subject. So I got some stuff together. I got a director to help me, did the audition, got on a scholarship. End of the first semester, I had like the lowest marks in my life, like 50% for everything. And I was like, I understand nothing. But luckily they stuck it out with me. And it was like a 4-year degree. And by the end, I came out like top of my class. Awesome. And just started, I trained for theater, man. I trained for Shakespeare. Like that was, I did like a triple major, English literature, drama, and acting. And that was going to be my life. I did like stand-up comedy. I was emceeing like music festivals and events and things like that. And it was all going pretty well. And then a buddy of mine cast me in a little short film that he wanted to do because I didn't really do much film. And I was like, this sounds fun. And then one of his buddies was like, cool, do you want to be in this zombie film we're doing? Just a little short for a horror festival. So I did that and ended up winning Best Actor at the Cape Town Horror Festival that year for that role. And I was like, oh, so maybe I can do film. So I started going out for more like sort of film auditions. And I mean, there's been some highs and some lows in this journey, but I must say one of the funniest was, so I was in this film, 24 Hours to Live with Ethan Hawke. And it's, I try and pick my roles very carefully because in South Africa, there's a lot of international shows coming through, but they've got their main cast pegged down. The only space for like a really impactful role for a local guy, you're going to be in there for like 2 or 3 scenes and then you're going to die. So if you go back and you watch my back catalog, I die in everything. Like you either got to die at the hand of the lead or you die helping the leads. And that's how your character just gets more screen time that way. It's just more impactful to the story. And it's, to be honest, it's more fun to do. Who wants to be like spear carrier number 3? You want to be spear carrier number 1. You want to be the pokey spear guy.
Yeah.
You want to be doing something. Right. So I get this role and, Ethan Hawke's in it. It's a cool film. It's a co-production with a Chinese production company. They're trying to introduce this actress to the Western audience, and it's this kid has been kidnapped, her kid, he's helping her, but he's going to die. And there's the kid's been kidnapped by this group of people, at this point represented by me. And I've got this kid in a convoy and we're driving through a township in South Africa. And it's a face-off between me and Ethan Hawke. And we're like tick-tocking and we got all this beautiful dialogue. We're in these really nice close-ups. And at one point, we're both on our knees in the dust, like looking at one another. And as I'm looking at him and I'm like, holy shit, here I am on my knees in the dust of like my country. Like this is a place where I've been before, where I know people from. And here's Ethan Hawke, and we're acting, and like my career has just hit like some kind of new high. And I looked into his eyes, and I knew I was just projecting, but I swear he was going like, "What am I doing in the dust? Yeah, on the other side of the world, looking at this man, this hairy man." But so at the end of the scene, I kind of, we were cool by that point, and we were chatting to one another. He's a really nice guy. Like, not a lot of really top international people have so much time for so many people on set as he does. Like, dude, he knows everybody's name. He knows what everybody does. He knows the sparks. He knows the grips. He's like just a beautiful human being. And he asked him like, dude, just weird story, but this is the image that came into my head while we're doing that scene. And he's like, bro, I'm thinking about the uncomprehendable chaos of war right there. We're making an amazing movie. You're doing amazing. Let's go again. And I was like, oh, thank you, Ethan. And if you go back and watch the film, it's actually a really cool scene in there. But I did like Saints and Strangers was also really cool. It's weird, like Nat Geo show, just 2 parts, but like the story of the Mayflower coming over. And I was just like a small part in there, like the first mate of the ship that won't give them beans and ends up going blind. But, acting with some really amazing, talented actors, and you just get to watch them work. And the more I work, the more I get to watch them work, the more I felt at home on screen, because it's quite weird where you sit there and on stage, there's so much space. You got to like draw people's attention. You got to like transfer energy to the other actor. On screen, it's here. It's just you. So it took me a long time to try and figure out how to not tell a big story. Just be the story. Yeah. And that brings us back to One Piece now, because one of the interesting challenges of being Brogy, of being a giant, and so you're always like big in the frame. That means every frame is a close-up or a medium close-up. Right. It never gets smaller. And that was also a cool acting challenge, to try and like put these big emotions in the big body, but it's still keeping it not just real, but relatable in like scale to Jacob opposite me, like we're both feeling the same thing. And it doesn't feel like I'm feeling a bigger version of what he's feeling. I just have a bigger body. It's a big feeling. It encompasses more than us, I want to ask, especially since we're segueing into the Brogy. Now, I've talked to other
actors from the live action, and they basically all kind of told me that everything as far as the auditioning was codenamed, right? You didn't really know what you were actually auditioning for.
The production's codenamed, the characters are codenamed. I don't think this is a secret sauce anymore, but the original character designation for Brogy was Ottavio. Sounded very like
Ottavio.
Italian, like, oh, Ottavio.
So
Please
who
send
was
me
he
the
supposed to
slides
be?
for this Ottavio. I shall put myself down on camera here
He
in
was
my,
supposed
in
to
my
be an
beautiful
Italian
green
guy?
cube. Because I was telling you before we started rolling, this is where I do all my auditions. So I did my Brogy audition in this chair. I was sitting in this creaky old chair that for some reason I just haven't replaced after all these years. It's my audition chair. And it makes noises when my butt moves.
It's the lucky chair, though. It's the lucky chair.
But my agent is like, bro, can you not just like oil it? Or, I'm like, I've tried. It's a wooden chair. It's old. It's like, yeah.
So you auditioned for Ottavio. So how did they explain that character to you, like as far as what you thought you were getting into?
They didn't. They did not. They're like,
okay, you just got a name, and that was kind of you just ran with it.
Like, this is Ottavio. Read the scene. Let us know what you think about this. And also, the special request was like, please have your shirt off when you audition for this character. We want to see what you look like. So but now here's the thing. So it's season 2 that they were busy shooting. They shot season 1 here. He wasn't the first character they cast. So you have like an inkling, right? You know that One Piece is busy casting around this time. So when you get something that's like, hey, this is a little quiet, but check this out and make sure you do a nice self-tape, right? And, you're like, okay. And you give it a read. And so I read it and I was like, okay, this is probably for One Piece. And to be honest, in season 1, I auditioned for a bunch of roles and I got offered 1 or 2, but I turned them down because there were like, 1 or 2 lines in a bar or at a shop, or, the character was important for the scene. But like I was telling you before, I try and pick characters that are a little bit more impactful.
Yeah.
I'd rather wait and not work on this project yet. Because if I am man in bar, then there's no way I'm going to be Frankie when they get to Water 7. I'm already doing sit-ups. I'm going to try and get that.
There you go.
And even if it doesn't work out for me as Frankie in live action, at least my wife will get to enjoy the Speedo show.
I can see you possibly pulling off of Frankie.
Oh, yeah.
You gotta get your super right, and there you go. I love it.
Oh,
yeah, man.
I love it.
I think if I was in better shape, Frankie would be my cosplay go-to. Just because you don't have to look pretty, you just have like big blue hair, and as long as you're drinking cola,
there you go. Do you like cola?
To be honest, I'm more of a milk guy, but yeah, I do like cola. I'm currently a cola fan, and because we're in South Africa, we have sugarcane sugar, not corn syrup sugar. So we've got, I believe, what you in the United States refer to as Mexican Coca-Cola.
Yes.
It's the good stuff. It's good.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, he does have sugar canes because my dad's actually in West Africa, Liberia. So like he's always playing sugar. Yes.
I've never been to Liberia, but I've been to Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire. West Africa's cool.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
No, I didn't know.
In Ghana, we took a buddies were busy working there, so we went to go visit them, and they're like, no, you like rum? You got to go and sail down the Volta River and just chat with all the dudes on the island because they all make their own rum. And you just you get like a fresh coconut, chop the top off, pour a bunch of rum in there, and here it is. And it's the most beautiful thing you've ever had to drink. It is amazing. But I must say, someone else has to drive the boat home.
I'm sure.
Kind of responsibility.
Yeah. That and the palm wine were the 2 guys messed up over there. I got it.
Oh, cool, bro. Yeah, in Liberia, they probably have the good Coca-Cola as well, for sure. But so bro, they said like audition with your shirt off, and I'm thinking, okay, this is One Piece. So I'm like, do I do a few push-ups or something? And I'm like, nah, you can't really hide. what's going on here. I played a lot of rugby when I was growing up, but I was a prop, and that's like the biggest, widest guy on the field. You lift up the tall guy, you push at the front of the scrums. Like it's just a benefit to eat as much as you can, be as large as you can, basically like the sumo wrestlers of the team. So I was never like watching my physique too much. But I'm like, okay, I'm not buff enough, but let me just read the scene, right? So I read Ottavio's scene, and it's this guy sitting in a cave, like stirring a fire that he's using bones to run his fire because he's got no wood, and he's making the soup, and this person thinks that they're going to eat them, and then he's like, I'm not going to eat you. I just want to have you for lunch. And he's like, oh shit, have you for lunch. I hear it now.
Right.
I read the scene, and I was like, you know what? I might not be pretty enough to play Ottavio, but I am funny enough to play Ottavio. So I'm going to sit down in this chair, and I'm going to be the funniest weirdo in a cave these people have ever seen.
I love it.
That's right.
I love it.
Well, what drew you to this live action project, if I might ask?
Well, to be honest, I have a couple of friends who worked on season 1, specifically in the props and the set building and set dressing departments. And this project specifically, I knew it was next level in terms of like the love and care that people were willing to put in. Like the production was willing to pay the money, but they wanted a next level product. Like at no point did they hit upon an idea where there was like a cheaper way to do it, but it wouldn't look good, or they could spend a little bit more money and do it right. And every single time the production said, do it. So they had a very good rep in town for being someone that like values the art and really puts the live elements and the live effects first. You know what I mean? They don't hide behind all the CG. That's something I really loved about watching season 1. So like season 1, I loved how they kept the joy of the man, just the unbridled joy. You just get on their little roller coaster, and these positive, happy little pirates, they're going to take you on a ride. You know, there's only one destination, and it's far away from here. You know, so I think they got that perfect. Also, the casting, man. I was also in this green cube when they needed someone to be the stage direction and scene intro reader for the first table read of One Piece, the first season. And I didn't know also code names and things. So I didn't know that's specifically what it was. I got sent the script and very quickly figured out what it was, but I only got the scripts like 3 hours before the call. I get on the call, and Ichiro Oda-san is on the call. Like there's big people on the call, and I'm the one going like, scene 1, Logue Town, exterior day. We pan across the crowd, and Goldie Roger is sitting in the and there is Emily, Jacob, Iñaki, and Makenyu, and even on their little webcams, right? Because it was just post-COVID times and stuff. It was hard to get the whole big production moving. Even then, even the guy who plays Kobe, I'm killing myself that I can't remember his name right now. I saw them on their tiny little web cameras, and I was like, this is amazing. This is even this without any of the effects. Like they've got the heart and soul, they've got the look, they understand the characters. Like I couldn't wait to see what they were going to do, right? And then what they ended up doing is, instead of throwing a bunch of money at the CGI, they went Goonies with it. They went like 80s action film, 80s horror film, 80s sci-fi, where everything's just got to be practical. Like if you can have a real snail phone transponder there on the desk, have it. Don't just put a green blob there and tell me there's going to be a snail thing later. This isn't like Star Wars episodes 1, 2, or 3. This like it's there. Like when I walk into the Brogy cave set, you know, and I'm standing there just looking at this like literally 6 stories high of like cave. I'm standing down in the spoilers ahead. I'm standing down in the valley where damn it, what's her name? The painter lady, Miss Wednesday. No, not Miss Wednesday. Is it Wednesday?
Miss Golden Week.
Golden Week. That's it. It's not Miss Wednesday. Miss Wednesday is Vivi, of course. But Miss Golden Week, she's down in that little let's call it. I called it the valley. You know. 2.5 or 3 stories up before you get the platform where Jacob and Emily were sitting, and then it's another 2 or 3 stories up where you're getting like the top half of the shield.
Yes.
And you've just got this massive thing, and I'm busy looking at this, and I'm like, wow, and there's like a giant spoon, and there's bones, and there's little like I'm seeing like this skull, and I'm like, this is amazing. And then they take me to, they're like, oh, and this will be your office for the day. And we turn around, and there's a tiny, it's like an elevator-sized room that I can like crawl into basically, and I can barely turn around. And there I'm sitting in my cave, hunched over, and I'm looking around, and hey, the spoon. There's the little skull. Here are some bones. And like up there, it didn't make sense. But while I was sitting there, I was like, oh yeah, he just threw that over there because he's a messy ogre. This is just the placement of all the objects. It was just so ridiculously well thought out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sometimes you go into a set and they're made up like this is your room. And you're like, well, but where do I put my phone to charge it at night? Where do I like? Where's my stuff? This room doesn't make sense as a room. And you're like, yeah, but we need the light from the window, so we're just going to do that. This did not feel like that at all. It felt like a dwelling. I just had to become the dude that lived there. I didn't have to make it a new home. This was already a feathered nest. So, you know, when you ask what drew me to the production, like source material, I knocked it out the park. I personally am a Japanophile. I love anime. I love manga. One Piece is huge, right? Secondly, I got a sneak peek under the hood, and I saw the cast when they weren't even like, sure, they were acting, they were doing the job, but they didn't have the help of soundtrack, camera angles, anything like that. And it was amazing. You know, then I had my buddies who worked on it and said they're all really nice people who were busy doing the jobs. Then my other buddies who worked on it and said, these guys actually know how to make something amazing. I'm having so much fun building all of this amazing stuff that we get to play with, you know? And then when it got back for season 2, I was like, nah, I gotta get on season 2. Even if I'm man in bar, even if I'll be a fish man. I will be who you want me to be.
Right.
I will be the guy that cleans Magellan's toilet.
Man.
I will hold the toilet roll.
Yo, I love it.
I respect
it. That's respect, though. I definitely respect it. That's fun.
No, listen, respect. I secretly think that Hannibal hated him because he had to clean the toilets most often. You know, because everyone else was too scared to do it, so he had to be like tough. It's like, fine, I'm strong.
Were there any roles that prepared you for this role? Any past roles?
I would say roles that prepared me for this role. I played like a bunch of sort of Vikings and ancient warriors and sort of knights and things. I mean, once upon a time, I was Alexander the Great for like a BBC History of the World reenactment thing. I was much younger. They gave me curly hair and things. Oh, dude, there's a funny story about that. No, I found out on that occasion that I blush very easily when I'm on the back of a horse, especially when this horse is like twice my size. And when you are on a horse with a tiny saddle, but you're wearing like a Greek skirt and like period underwear, there's nowhere to hide, man. This is
right.
Precision maneuver. This is harder than like a stunt driving a car. I would say it would be like driving like riding that horse in that moment. So I would say that job, the reason I bring it up is it all went completely wrong with the horse. The first take, like I was supposed to hop off and not move the blanket that was covering the saddle, and then I had to like let go of the reins when I hopped off. But as I tried to hop off, I kind of like caught my wedding tackle in a funny way and made this noise like and then forgot to let go of the thing. So this horse is now trained. It's a massive black stallion, dude. This thing is like 7 foot at the shoulder. It's an incredible, like super trained beast that I had no personal connection with. And so now I'm holding the reins. He's like, oh, you want me to do the thing? So if you hold the reins, he rears up and he just starts moving his hooves like crazy. And so Alexander, he loves his horse, dude. It's a big part of the character. And I wasn't going to be bossed around by this horse, even if I am wearing a skirt and period underwear. Everyone's shouting like, let go of the reins, let go of the reins. And I'm like, nah, bro, I got this. So I just pulled him close. And I brought him down because I knew the trainer had told me like, that's how you bring him back to ground. I brought him down. I just put my head on his head. And I was just busy thinking to myself, like, man, I really hope that my junk is still okay. It feels really sore now. That the adrenaline is wearing off. And I tell that story because in the trailer for that show, they used that shot of me with my head on the horse. It wasn't scripted. It wasn't in the actual thing but they used it in the trailer. This moment of me with my head on the horse, and it just looks like I'm thinking the deepest, like I'm thinking about something that matters, right? That's all that you're reading. And so what that job taught me is that even when it feels like it might be going all wrong, try and connect with something real. Try and be who your character is, even though this isn't the way it's supposed to, and just try and do your best in that. Imagine your character, his horse is busy reared. Like find your place, and then wait for them to call cut. If they don't call cut, you just keep acting, and then they can turn this almost mishap into this beautiful moment. So what that job taught me is like just trust it, trust the process. There's someone there to tell you that this isn't working, this is working. That's too big, this is too small. By the time you've got the job, there's no one on set waiting to be like, you didn't do the thing, you're out.
Right.
Right. You can't lose your job for any mistake you make while the camera is rolling. And so that just really sort of freed me up. So now with Brogy, even though we're busy sitting there and it's a big production, it's a big role. I mean, I particularly enjoyed the Little Garden arc when I read it. The first time, like, I love that these dudes are just on a fishing trip and they're having a pissing contest of which sea king is bigger. And 100 years later, they're still kicking one another's asses.
Right.
I connect with that. These are my people. They're not me specifically, but I have known these guys. They're my brothers. I understand every fiber of their being,
I love it.
And so by the time it came to come and do that, you just got to let it go. You can be a Viking, you can be this, you can be that, or you can just be a smelly, itchy, kind of uncomfortable, but still loving it giant.
Yes.
He's not going to go and take his armor off and take a shower and all that. The volcano could erupt.
Right.
He's not going to be late. He's not going to. It doesn't bother him how he smells or how he's just getting by. He's enjoying himself. He's eating what he wants to eat. He drinks with his buddy. He gets to fight with his buddy. Like he loves his life. And so I just wanted to be that guy that just is enjoying himself in battle, eating his weird stew. With the smells in his little cave. He's just a happy fella. He's got enough because he's got. I wouldn't want to get too meta into like the world of the One Piece, but I think that on Elbaf they just live a certain kind of life because it's 300 years long. It's no longer about am I going to die? What can I maybe get done while I'm around? They've got all this time. So what do they do with that time? They enjoy themselves. They eat. They read. They fight. They go. They have their little their pirate crews that go out and do great things. But also just the people of Elbaf. They don't want to go because what's going on there is good enough for them. They're happy with what they've got, and it's not that they're dull or they don't have big dreams. Big dreams can live in this shade of this big tree, and so I think that's the main thing about being Brogy was just finding that wherever he was, enough was like he was so happy to be there. This was his place to be. He had all the time in the world.
I want to ask a question. It's kind of like a multi-part question, but I know when the change that happened inside a Little Garden with who got the poison beer. I thought it was interesting. I actually liked it. And I have a follow-up question for this first one because I have an interesting take about it because I liked it and how it went.
Well, I bet you do.
Yeah. But I do want to ask, who was I guess obviously the director was obviously the deciding factor for that. But was that something that
he directs the script? Like the script is written and then you're like, okay, I suppose this is what we're doing today. That was definitely sort of several pay grades above dear Christoph. Christoph is he's an amazing dude. Like I really love working with Christoph. But when it came to like, he wouldn't be the guy to be like, I feel this part of the script needs to change. He's like, thank you for the amazing script. I've got the manga here in my hand. I know what the shots look like. Let's go. I was a little gutted in the very beginning. I was like, no, what? Because you don't get to see the scripts, right? Until they're finished. And once they're finished, the discussions have been had. You know, you can change small things, but you're not going to change whole scenes. You know, not unless you're like one of the main stars and you got a really good reason. Because the reason is there's so many people who really love the source material, who've gone over it and debated. They've had the chats. Yeah. So you read it and you think, oh no, and then you're like, wait. Let me reread it. Let me see what they've done. Let me see why. Because one of the reasons I was like, oh no, because as soon as I read that, I was like, but what about the candelabra? What about me crying rainbows after I find out he's dead? That was one of my favorite frames.
Right.
And so, unfortunately, when you are trying to tell such a big and amazing story in a shorter time frame, you do have to kill your darlings, is the phrase that they use a lot in literature. You know, you love it, but it's got to go. Yeah. And so I think with this particular one, they were having trouble, and this is me just assuming, this is not official stuff that I know or have heard, but this is what I assume. When you look at the candelabra set, how could you make the candelabra big enough so that Brogy doesn't like completely sort of outscale it? You know, we just kind of throw the scales off. It means the way we shoot it is we shoot human size and giant size. So we'd have to shoot it 2 times. You turns every shot into a comping shot. It just increases the costs exponentially. Yeah. So if you want to do the candelabra justice, you can't have another big element trying to cause trouble with those shots, those setups and those scenes. So I completely get why they couldn't do it there. And then I think the reason they had to swap who Mr. Five poisons and who eventually goes down is because it is Brogy that has the chat with Usopp.
Yep.
It's just at the candelabra with the wax knife in his hand. So they want that's the moment that we're seeing out of the dueling grounds. And when I read it over again and I looked and I made my peace, like, okay, I'm not going to be crying rainbows. Then I just looked at the character arc and I was like, no, this is actually this is so close to the original, and it has saved us so much time and possibly them so much money. Let's then just do the most that we can with that other scene, because now we don't have crying rainbows, we don't have the candelabra, we don't have that ticking clock, but I believe that Jacob and I could still bring all of that to bear, even though it's just a giant standing in front of a man.
Well, I think y'all. I do think y'all brought it like. I actually like the way that it was done this way. I don't think it took anything away. If anything, it added a little bit more depth to where they're to the way that they're trying to portray Usopp, because in that moment, you know, with Brogy going down and getting the bomb in his stomach, it's something that Usopp has to witness from like his essentially father figure.
Yes, the death of a dream, the death of another father.
Exactly. You know what I mean? That's what I was about to say. Because, you know, Usopp in his backstory, he's already went through, he lost his mom. He's never really had a dad there. So I think this helped further the concept to everybody that he wasn't just seeing Brogy as a mentor. This is like an actual father figure for him because of everything that he's imparting into him in Little Garden, all the moments.
Aspirational father figures, and I want to be just like him when I grow up.
Yes.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
Absolutely. And for me, that's something I definitely used as Brogy looking down at Usopp, you know, when he's busy talking about fighting the mole monster and things like that. I turned it over in my head a lot before it came to shooting. You know, how do you play that? Is Brogy stupid and doesn't think much of it? He just takes him at his word. Why would anyone lie to me? You know, this guy must be a great warrior. And I thought, okay, that's cool, but that's maybe a little shallow. And, you know, then I thought, do you play that like, oh, Brogy knows he's lying, but he's just kind of cool with it. And then I'm like, nah, but that kind of undercuts all the other stuff that we're busy doing later.
Right.
And then I was busy reading up a little bit more or brushing up on my Norse mythology. Because I'm studying English literature, like I've done all the Prose Edda and all of these myths that are now coming into Elbaf. I'm loving seeing all of that. But there's this tradition, you'd be stuck for the long night. You'd be in a long hall, and it would be like a month or so, and the sun wouldn't come out, and you just have all the food there and all your friends there, and you'd all just sleep in one big hall and keep one big fire going. And during that time, you'd just tell stories. And the stories would get wilder and wilder. So it's not whether the story is true or not. It's how you tell the story. It's the color that you bring to it. Because if you're telling the story right, part of you is there in that story. If you're telling a story about being brave well enough, you're feeling a little brave, you're acting a little brave, and he's just meeting Usopp where he is in that moment. He's like, hell yeah, you are. You are the Lord of Destruction. Yeah, bring it, Lord.
I love that.
Come on. Now there's 3 of us on the island.
I think,
which is why immediately the next line is like, so do you like weapons?
Right.
Yeah.
He just starts seeing him as just a pint-sized, but still a warrior. Because that's the thing.
Yeah.
I also thought a lot, like, how would Brogy and Dorry feel about smaller people? Physically, they obviously look down on them, but like, are they just weird? Are they insects? Are they fully fledged human? Are they just like us, just smaller? And that's what really appealed to me, is the sort of what I see as the giant's way of living. There's space for all of us. Yep. We're all amazing. We're all awesome. And if we can all push ourselves to enjoy ourselves in a way that creates more joy for everyone else around us, that's just going to make a better world. So we're going to go for that. And so when these guys come along, often you can't get attached to them. They get eaten by dinosaurs. People do not survive very long on Little Garden.
Yes.
So he probably doesn't make a habit of, like, when he takes them to his cave, then is maybe protecting them maybe a little bit. Maybe he's just like, I want to chat to someone. I don't want them to get eaten before I got a chance to chat to them. Let me just give them a meal and have a little thing. But when Usopp starts coming on strong with defeating a mighty mole monster, he's just like, oh man, yes. Another finally.
Yeah.
Dude, tell me more dude stories.
Yeah.
Is it true or no. Tell me your stories, dude.
Right. In that scene, one of my favorite quotes from you, which we gotta talk about, the quotes that they gave Brogy. Man, there's so many. But one of my favorite scenes is when you're looking up and you're talking to Usopp, and this is probably honestly one of the best scenes in that episode for sure. When you're telling him true bravery is not the absence of fear, but going into battle in spite of it. Now we had a conversation off camera, but talking about that, the fact that we both have kids. I just wonder, were you coming from a place of like getting ready for that scene? Were you potentially thinking about your kids in that scene? Like how you would talk to them in a moment like that, where they need that kind of extra push to go out and do these things that they're scared of? Because it sounds like that scene to me, in the anime, it hits too, but in the live action, I feel like it transcends just a show. Because now we're talking about things that you would actually tell people, in these types of situations. Like you can't be afraid to go take chances. So I just wondered, did you, preparing for that, did you think about your
everybody
kids?
all the time? Go try and get what you want. If the bad shit gets you, it was going to get you anyway. And if it doesn't, now you got what you want.
Exactly.
Lather, rinse, repeat. I definitely think there was some fatherliness there. There was definitely, I had images of the Mufasa talking to Simba, when he's in the cloud, because, and the reason why I had like the Mufasa Simba thing is because in that moment, Mufasa can't do anything for Simba. He is a dad. He's got that, but his power is broken. There's nothing he can do. And in that moment, how can you still help? And you can't help by necessarily giving people a traditional sort of "come on there, you got this" kind of pep talk. What you can tell them is the truth, the kind of truth that a dad would tell to his son, or like a friend to a friend. The way I tried to play it is not to father son, because he did see Usopp more as like a buddy, like another dude, and it's more about like, oh, dude, you thought this was easy? No, sorry, I'm sorry if I've been giving you that impression, but yeah, even giants get terrified. There are terrifying things in this world that we have to stand up against.
Yep.
If we let the scary thing go, the scary thing wins, and it can go and be scary somewhere else. When you stop the scary thing here, then it stops being scary somewhere else. So you can stick your head in the sand, and you can let it pass you by and hope it goes and eats somebody else. You can just be like, bruh, this thing eating thing sucks. Who's with me? Let's go. It's gotta stop being hungry sometime. I'll try and block its throat.
I love it.
Choke on me. And so, but just that idea that he can, even if he dies in the attempt, he will rather have died in the attempt than not have tried. Like, and that's something that I also got from like playing rugby back in the day. Just that feeling. Because rugby, it's not like American football. Like, it's quite continuous.
Yeah.
You have two halves, and they're 40 minutes each.
Yes.
And you just keep going the whole time. Sometimes you got like little breaks for things, but there's no like defensive team, offensive team. And in those last 5 minutes of the game, right, you're tired, you're dog tired, you've given everything. But now there's that guy with that ball running towards your goal line. And if he gets there, so you have a choice. You're sitting there at almost 300 pounds, and he's moving like he's Usain Bolt. But you can try and put your 300 pounds in his way and fail, or you can be the guy that didn't even try.
Ooh,
and
that's a bar.
Brogy knew that Usopp wasn't the kind of guy who wasn't going to try. So his power is broken. He can't physically do anything. So he wanted to empower him by letting him know, like, bro, as far as anyone in the universe can possibly have this, you have this. No one else can do anything right now but you, because you've got the agency, you have all the power. Luffy can't do anything. Zoro can't do anything. Nami can't do anything. It's Sanji can't do anything. Like, it's all down to you're the only guy who can move. And yeah, you might just be a pawn.
Yeah.
But you can take shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, I think to that point, I think it's a good, especially since we like talked a little bit about Elbaf from the manga, just very briefly. I think that is what helps really cement why he feels the way he does when he gets to Elbaf and sees Dorry and Brogy again. We kind of already understood it, of course, with Little Garden, but man, his connection with Brogy is just different, so absolutely.
Man, it's different. And it's beautiful there. I must say, when I'm busy reading the current chapters coming out, just seeing their relationship grow and seeing what Jacob and I were busy doing. It's like watching that relationship have its next beat, which is also super heartwarming to see. Emu is not a giant bird from Australia.
Oh no, definitely not.
Does have wings though. Does have wings.
True.
Emu did have wings, and that one I ended up being right on.
Yeah. Okay. So we talked a lot about the interaction between you and Jacob in your scenes. How was it with Warner when you were working with Dorry? How was because y'all had a nice little fight choreography scene. I'd like to know, how was it preparing for that? How was the on set working with him? Well, tell me a little bit about that.
So Werner, he's such a nice guy. He's a big dude. Well, like, I'm also a big dude, but it's normally there aren't lots of big dudes all put together because then we look normal sized. Verna and I really hit it off from the first day we met one another, which was at the callbacks. They paired up a couple of Dorries and Brogies, and he looks really muscular, and I look like a normal but large human being. So I was with more like normal looking people. And I must say, I just wasn't the way I was reading the scene. I wasn't really feeling it with the other Dorries. I really had much more of like a jock energy, you know, like come on, man, we're fishing, we're fighting, we're just like, this is what we love. This is what we play for. You know,
right.
that kind of
I love it.
And when they whittled it down and there were fewer and fewer people, and then it was just Werner and myself, and we got paired with one another. And when we did the scene, it was the first time I was like, finally, this dude gets it. And so he and I, we come from very similar like background of like playing rugby, and I also grew up up there where he's from. I moved down to Cape Town. It's nice here. We got a mountain, we got the ocean. It's glorious. But you know, up there, like people are very like it's about rugby and farming and like using your body, and so we brought that gusto to the Giants. Unfortunately, you asked about the stunts prep. We also brought that to the stunts prep, so that was fun. So because he had to fly in from another city, I was working on another job, and so I couldn't be released until a certain date. And it just happened to be that my first day in the stunt workshop was his last day before he comes back to like start shooting. So we'd have like 2 more days in the stunts workshop together, but I was going to be training for 2 weeks while he was gone for 2 weeks shooting something else. But if I could learn the choreography in a few hours, then we could shoot like a little bit of previs together, just him and I, instead of us working with our training double. And I took the challenge. I was like, no, bro, let's go. Teach me the choreography. And he was such a trooper. He was so patient. You know, even though it was his last day before going away, like he didn't want to just keep running his stuff. He really helped me find like the bits. And then we found the length and the size. And that's what I really enjoy about working with Werner is he's a really giving actor. And we made a lot of decisions together about how the Giants were and the ways they would move, you know, their mental and spiritual, just their culture, where they come from, you know, whether that's, you know, loving food, loving fighting, loving just being out in the sun, loving a good laugh, you know, sharing a drink with your friends, but also like formality, like make it a dance. We're not just fighting in the parking lot, we're fighting in the parking lot at dawn.
Yeah. Y'all had the chemistry, man. Like that was one thing I'm like, dude, you could tell, like it's almost like y'all have been acting together in other sets. Like it was just there, man.
We had to. It's so weird. We had to bond in that stunts workshop time because most of his scenes are obviously without me.
Yeah,
like the scene that we have together is the fight.
Yeah.
You know, and so we didn't actually get a lot of. I suppose we got the goodbye scene, and we got one more scene by the boat before that. But by the time we were shooting that, you know, a lot of other stuff is in the can. So we spent a lot of time where we could, just going over, just being like, "Hey, how's your scene busy going there? What are you busy doing here?" Just talking about like, what did we think it had been like on the island? What do we do every day? What does the average day look like for Dorry and Brogy?
Right.
You know, where do they go? Do they avoid one another, or do they go and hang out? Or are they like, you know, how angry are they about the thing? You know, and it's funny. One of the references that I got from production was, you know, just thinking about the way that the Asterix and Obelix Gauls are. They love to eat, they love a good laugh, but they'll fight at the drop of a hat. You know, it's this kind of like lusty, lively human being. And luckily, we both come from, for some reason, up on the Highveld, people, we love cooking like meat over an open flame. The bigger the flame, the bigger the piece of meat, the better. You know what I mean? So whether it's a whole cow or like a sheep or whatever, it's all about the sort of festival eating. And then we'll go and we'll we'll play rugby, which is basically like a formalized combat. And then afterwards, we're all having a drink in the bar. And that was the whole thing about rugby is like, no matter how hardcore it gets on the field, when that final whistle blows, you guys go to the bar and you have a beer because you both play rugby. You both love rugby more than you love winning. You're happy to have someone who loves it so much to play up against.
Yeah.
That mentality to the Giants. You can't be that on your own. You can't play a sport on your own. You don't just need your teammates, you need your opposition.
Right.
And if they're good, then you can be better. And it's that mentality that we just brought into their joy. Their joy. It's not about killing. We just want to see these fishes bigger, and this is the only way the gods will tell us.
Yes.
I wish we could flip a coin, but we can't. Okay, I'm gonna fight. One of us
fight for it. Yeah.
Yes.
I do like so. I'm gonna ask this because then we have a couple of questions about the prosthetics.
Yeah,
but
sure.
man, the ending scene when you're talking to Werner and it's like, hogwash, the beast I felled was clearly bigger. Do you question my honor? Your honor? I question your sanity. It's like, oh my God, that was so perfect. And like the bickering back and forth. It's
the
like,
man, but also so happy to be back at bickering. You know what I mean? There are those married couples who bicker and you're like, wow, they're having a tough time. And then there's married couples who bicker and you're like, they are loving it. We're all, hey, we might as well not be here, but they're having their best time right now.
I loved it, man. It was such a scene.
I just want to say, you embody Brogy so much. I feel like I'm talking to Brogy right now. The quote, I love everything right now. You've been killing it, man. Every other chapter that I read One Piece, I'm going to be, and I see Brogy, I'm going to be thinking about you.
Thank you.
How long did it take to get the prosthetics on? And was it comfortable? And how did you make it work?
The prosthetics, it takes a village, right? So our normal shooting day, we wanted to try and shoot from 8 a.m. until 6 p.m. It's a 10-hour day. And because the giants, it's technically very difficult. You know, you're doing a lot of measuring. You got to shoot one side of the scene and then the other side of the coin, and you got to put it all together. So even though you've only got the same number of scenes for a day, you're actually shooting double when you're trying to go through it. So what they decided to do for that is just shoot the giants all as one block. Just have like giants time. So we were on pretty much every day. We were off on weekends, yay! But nice. I would have to leave my house at like 3:30 and drive me to studio. I get there at about 4 a.m. and have a cup of coffee and then sit down in the chair and they'll work on me until about 7 a.m. And then we got to start doing like final checks and things. So it's about 3 to 3.5 hours in the chair. And so it starts with the nose. So the nose will take about an hour, just getting the right, so to make it blend perfectly, because it's a proper full nose piece, you know? And dude, I had the weirdest looks the whole time we were shooting. So I had to keep my beard, or the bottom part of my beard, so they could still clip things on there, but they shaved my mustache off. So I had like a full-on Amish vibe going. Everywhere I went, everyone was like, stop, bro. Yeah, it's a bold choice. This the man who knows something that we've all forgotten.
Yeah.
It was like Nick Offerman in that one episode of Parks and Recreation. Friction. You know?
Yeah, it's hilarious.
But so first they got to put the nose on. That takes about an hour, and then they start putting the mustache on and the beard, and then they have to start doing all the other makeup. You know, like all the patterning on the skin and just bringing it all together. And it's about micro adjustments, right? So sometimes the nose will be just a little, like 1 degree down, and then we got to take it all off and like move it 1 degree up, and it's just working hard to make it look perfect. And that whole time I've just got to sit still. I try not to talk too much, try and get some sleep or run my lines. But the ladies, 3 ladies, like one for makeup, one for hair, one for prosthetics, getting up with me every morning, playing music, making sure I was warm, because it sure was cold sometimes. But they became like a second family to me. So I'd eat my breakfast just before we put the final bits of beard on at about 7 a.m. You know, and then they stitch the final bits of beard on, and then everything's come together. And then I go straight to my trailer and put on the armor, which weighs like 50 pounds. It's like 50 pounds of weights and leather and all sorts of craziness. Oh yeah, dude. So those arm bands that I'm busy wearing, like if you look close, we did it because we like the idea. He's got these giant like nuts, like giant nuts for a bolt, like just in there. That's what he's used to make himself a little armband, because he took apart some ship or something to try and make like another piece of armor.
Yeah.
You know, but it's heavy. It's all like real leather and real metal, and the cape's another story. The axe and the shield, that weighs another like 50 pounds together. Oh, more like 45, but still. Look, they did have stunt versions. Stunt version of the shield was much lighter, but the stunt version of the axe was just a little heavier. Just a wee bit. But that took me about half an hour. So about 8 a.m. you can roll onto set, and then you work till 6, and then it takes about 45 minutes to an hour to take everything off and like reset your face, and then you drive home, and then you get home and you got like 8 hours to sleep before they come and pick you up again. So I had the privilege of being Brogy for longer each day than I was Brendan. Yeah, and it was a good thing. No, bro, there was some tough times, and then in the car on the way home, just like I feel so small.
Yeah,
my top lip is so naked. It's not from the friction. I can't keep up with the light.
The wind is hitting your top lip. You don't have any hair there.
Man, I feel the wind in my lips. That's not right.
I saw you on another interview. You were talking about the teeth and how you had to get used to the teeth being in your mouth. How was it trying to adjust to like giving your lines while they like with the teeth shifting around?
Oh, it's one of those weird things where art imitates life, imitates art, and you turning a problem into just acting fuel, I suppose, because what they wanted to do is, obviously we've been on an island for 100 years. We don't have nice teeth. Like our teeth are really funky. And if you like just paint it on, like when I worked on Black Sails, which is another pirate production, we use like these sort of acrylic paints and stuff, and then you put like a glue over the top so it would stay all day. But it keeps changing like very subtly. So it's fine if people aren't in close-up, but if you're in close-up through the whole day, it's not going to match. So then they decided for Brogy, what they're going to do is because he's such a smiley guy, his mouth's open. I was like, guys, I'm going to be grinning a lot of the time. Like it's the teeth are going to be in play. So they got me a pair of like basically dentures, the see-through plastic that's molded perfectly to the shape of your tooth. And then they painted inside that to have that be like consistent teeth. But the problem is Brogy speaks in such a big voice. He uses a lot of air when he speaks. And especially when you're saying your S's, right? Yeah. And so what would happen is sometimes when I go speaks and my mouth goes wide, a little bit of air would get in underneath the teeth and like try and make them come out, which made me even more aware of having this smile the whole time. He doesn't, his mouth is like a letterbox. It's miles wide, but it's not very tall. And just trying to like keep that in. And so the teeth by the end, I love them. I felt naked without the teeth too. My mustache came back, but I still don't have those beautiful teeth. But yeah, man. It was also fun because then when you put on all the makeup and you got the armor on, but for me, it was really when I put the teeth in and picked up the axe that I became Brogy, because I could take the teeth. I have to take the teeth out when I would like eat my lunch and things like that. And that ended up being like a mental trigger for me. When I didn't have my teeth in, I could be Brendan in a Brogy costume. I was like cosplay. But once the teeth were in, I had to just be this guy. There's no other way.
Yes. Yeah. I love it. I know Zaz, well, another question. I'm gonna ask this just because I talked to Gavin Gomes, who did Heavy Point Chopper in Drum Island. And when I talked to him, because he had a whole lot of prosthetic work as well, he basically was telling me, once you have all of it on, you just essentially, it's like unexplainable, but you become that character. Like everything
it's very easy. Well, especially if you've been training your whole life, right? Or your whole, let's say, professional life, to harness the power of your imagination and the words in the script, like this, the way that the words can come over you like a magic spell, and you can conjure these images out of fresh air, right? And now suddenly you're not talking like a giant or acting like a giant. You're standing there in 50 pounds of armor. You stink. You got this big nose and your teeth in, and you're like, I'm just gonna cook some stew now. It's just so easy to just fall into that when everything else is right there, because most of your training is about, like, normally, let's say it's the T-Rex and you got to have like a scared effect. That's the camera. You don't get to see the T-Rex. You'll see that, weeks that here they would have like something that would actually physically be there. So you're not just trying to react. You can just react. There's like very little acting required when they've put so much effort into the props and the costume and the shall we call it the VFX that aren't on the camera.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you still got to then not get lost in that play world, because your script is you still got your scene. There's still something that your character is not just there to do in their day, but by just doing that in their day, it actually shifts a whole cog and a beat in the rest of the story. Your character is not aware of it. Your character is not busy doing it. Your character's just doing their day. So something that I definitely tried to do was, before each scene, I'd have my little manga with me and I'd be looking at like just the shapes, the way Brogy sits. Is there a way that I could just reference that panel in some way with how I stand or what I do? And obviously it's beautifully drawn and really well written. So they do give you these beautiful shots of him sitting down, cross-legged, laughing. We spoke about the crying rainbows before. And when you have that kind of source material and you're sitting in 50 pounds of armor, you look at yourself in the mirror and it's just nose and teeth and horns, and you got this giant wicked axe that's literal metal and heavy and sharp. You've used this one to actually cut something backstage because you just wanted to see if it works.
Oh, you did? That is so cool.
No, never. Yeah, of course. No, you cannot give a man an axe.
Yeah, expect him not to use it. I love it.
Yeah. No, but so because also the axe is so there's the safe one, which is soft and not sharp, and then the other one, which is metal. And it's not like particularly sharp, but when you got an axe that heavy, it doesn't have to be sharp. Like the weight's doing most of the work. But I needed to know, is this the safe axe or the sharp axe? Because sometimes I'm acting around Emily or Jacob or Christoph's there, or there's a camera person there. And I remember the one where I was really thankful that I went to gym for this part and like did a lot of like wrist weights and like lifting up my kids over my head and just trying to do stuff, because we're busy sitting in the cave and he's busy pointing to the etchings on the wall where he's counted all of their battles. And we're busy doing a run through I've run it with Christoph, we've run it by Matt and some producers, and we're happy to now show the camera crew and the art department. So everyone comes in, it's a crowded set, I was telling you before. So everyone's like kind of all over, but they're trying to see what I'm going to do. And I'm like a Ron Burgundy actor, man. Like like Ron Burgundy, if it's written down, he's going to say it. Like if I'm supposed to do it on the day, I'm going to do it now, because you need to see what I'm doing, because this is my job now to show you what I'm doing. So now I've got the real axe in my hand, and there were people sitting where they weren't supposed to be sitting, and now I'm supposed to swing the axe over and just like hold it above their, like directly above their heads. And I'm a smart guy. I didn't do that's way too dangerous, but I swung it over, and so I moved it past them, like just further, but then I had to hold the axe at like a funny angle to sort of point, so it became a bit heavier. And I was like, "You're sitting underneath my axe. I can hold it, don't worry." And then they will like scatter away. And then I'm like, "So actually I'll be pointing here on the day. There's many battles." But it's one of those, they're like, "Yeah, let's just never have the real axe until we're rolling, like just all rehearsals." And I was like, "But it's axey. I need to stroke her, just like
right.
I need to reconnect."
Love it, man.
But it was really wild, the love that every day I went to work, I was interacting with people. Sure, they were tired. Sure, they were working hard. Sure, there was a lot of stress. But there was so much joy. There was just these little bubbles of everyone. It's not just about the takes or about the work that's getting done. It's something that's been approved for the next day, or like bringing a prop through for like, check it out. This is going to be Crocodile's hook. You guys want to, just another little nugget of some beautiful thing moving through. There was outside just our little giant land, which I really appreciated and helped me connect to the bigger story.
The laugh. How long did it take you to get the laugh down? Because you killed it, man.
Man, I worked with the laugh was probably the thing that I took the longest to like nail down, because the voice, I had an idea, like because I'd watched it in the original Japanese, I knew how Brogy was approached there, but I felt because it was live action, I wanted to bring something a little bit more. And because I like old movies, I thought a lot about the rock giants in Neverending Story. There's like the big one and the little one. Just something I loved about their voices, the way they spoke, it sounded like two big boulders grinding together. They had this kind of something was going on. And then the more I thought about Brogy, I'm like, he probably smokes or sits too close to the fire. He drinks too much. He shouts. He's probably got one of those voices. Those guys. Like basically William H. Macy's character in Shameless, I mean, he's lived and you can hear it. So then I already had kind of this and that, but then I wanted to bring that into the laugh, And so because, again, I'm a Ron Burgundy actor, I'm going to follow the stage directions. I'm going to do it because it's written in the manga. Ga ba 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 ba. I really wanted it to be. I wanted to be ga ba 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 ba.
Yes.
The problem with the ga ba 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 is when I'm doing it in the scene and I've got so many other things going on and like a line to follow, it ended up having like a dying cadence where we're ga ba 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 ba. And it kind of became like a sigh out at the end, or sounded kind of like a ha, and it just lost energy. It's really hard to sustain this, like to have, for me, joy is dynamic, right? Joy is not like one, like, it goes everywhere. Joy is, it's funky. It's a bass line. It's wild. And I felt like constricted by that. And so it was the first day that we came to shooting a scene where he laughs. And so this was the day to now put the laugh down. This is going to define the laugh. So, obviously they come over and they're like, I mean, I'm sure you've been working on a laugh. And I'm like, oh yeah, actually I did get that part of the brief. And we spoke about it, and I did it, and we did the scene a couple of times, and it was the yeah, bah, 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 bah. But the problem was always, how does it end? Where does it go? And then Joe Trax, the one showrunner, he came over to me and he's like, yeah, it's just sounding like a little harsh, almost a little mechanical. And I'm like, because I told him I wanted that vibrant joy. And he was like, yeah, but is there, would you ever do it gabba, gabba, gabba? And I was like, well, that's not how it's written. So no. And he's like, well, but because we write the scripts, what if we wrote it gabba, gabba, gabba? And I was like, and again, it's just like with it, you've got your darlings, right? And when someone comes with something new, your immediate response is like, no, but my baby. And then you got to be like, okay, let me actually look at yours. And then you're like, oh, yeah, that's a prettier baby. And so with the gabba, 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 I was like, okay, give me 5 minutes. I want to just think this through, because you might be onto something, but part of me is just like set against it already. And I can't start shooting now because it's not going to just magically fix itself. This is some thoughts I got to have.
Yeah.
So I went away and I had some thoughts and I just started like playing with it. You're like, gabba, 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 gabba. And as I was busy doing that, like, gabba, 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 I started feeling like playing with my diaphragm and just feeling that kind of like belly laugh. And then for some reason, the moment that the image that came into my mind is in Parks and Recreation, there's an episode where Andy and Ron kind of like bond. he brings him a sandwich called a meat tornado. You know, it's a whole new meat delivery system.
Yeah.
Meat, and they just so happy. So again, dudes, this is very much in like the Dorry the thing. So these dudes, they eat the meat and then they want to go out and play. So they go out and they're throwing a football in the parking lot, and then they hit a car, and you just hear this laughter like,
Yeah.
and you really think that's Andy laughing until Ron says, "Run, Andy!" And I had the pleasure of working with Megan Mullally on a show that shot here called You, Me, and the Apocalypse. At least I think that's what it ended up being called. I mean, it was just like a one scene dude or two scene done dude, but we got to sit all day together. We're talking backstage about or just off camera about our lives and stuff. Jenna Fisher from The Office was one of the other ladies in that scene.
Wow.
So, like, surrounded by like royalty. I'm just trying to eat with my eyes. I'm like, ladies, just tell me everything. I'm a fly on the wall, but I also have questions, you know. But they were very gracious and very kind. And then I told her how much I like the character of Ron Swanson, and she's like, "Yeah, her husband is great in it." I'm like, "You're right, your husband is great in it." And then I told her about that laugh because that scene really touched me, and she told me that he used to be a little shy of his laugh because he thinks he's a big guy and it sounds a little, you know, it's childlike. And he credits her for letting him in on the fact that childlike joy is infectious. And if there's one thing I wanted Brogy's laugh to be, is that it's infectious. It's joy that begets joy.
Yeah.
And with that kind of like, just in my, just finding that, I just felt so joyful. I just felt so happy that I couldn't be constrained by the and like I tried to make it work, and it just wasn't. It wasn't real. It felt, or not that it wasn't real. It's just when everything else is functioning at such a high level, when something's just a little bit off, you can feel. You know, it's like when your Formula One car has got like a little something on the camber of the back wheel. You can feel it because you got a great ass. But it's one of those things where it just, once we started doing it that way, it just really felt right. And because it came with the character, and you know, it came from higher up, I was like, guys, you know, I hate to be that guy, but I am feeling it. I'm happy to start shooting, but you know what do you think the fans are going to say? What do you think Oda's going to say? I don't want to be changing their things. And just because, you know, they're a very well-prepared production, and they're like, well, when we last spoke to him, we did actually chat to him about several laughs, and we spoke about your laugh, and you know, he obviously it's an iconic laugh, and we said, what happens if the actor doesn't go gabba but goes gabba gabba gabba, and he said that it just needs to be genuine and full of love. And
I got that. Yeah,
I think it's that the form is important, but you got to keep that internal form as well, even more. So I don't think we broke the gabba ba 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 too much.
Yeah. No, it was the important elements of it was there. Yeah.
It's also when you write it, it looks super cool to write ba 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 ba. But then when you're really trying to laugh like that, you're like, am I a woodpecker?
Right.
This feels relentless. This feels cruel.
Right. No, I love it. I think y'all nailed the laugh, man. Honestly,
thanks,
like,
man. Well, I just want you to know, I personally agonized over it. This was like, I sat there for a good minute, like, just because I knew if I couldn't make my peace with it, then first of all, I was never going to be able to make it work.
Right.
But also, it's just something that's so iconic about it. And for me, it's not the way the laugh is spelt. It's the infectiousness of that joy. It's that bubble. It's that energy that comes from Elbath and great warriors from the sea. These people who will stand up even if they're afraid.
Yeah. I think definitely I can feel you can feel when you've already been a fan of One Piece and then step into the role and perform the role from a basis of loving the show already versus finding it out after getting the role and then going on and doing it. Not that you can't, because everyone that casted
but then there's so much to process,
exactly, and
like,
where the character's going. So because you're already caught up in the manga and Elbaf and everything. So acting out what Oda was trying to go, at least with the character in the future.
Yeah, man.
I think that's why you were one of the standout characters in season 2, because we can tell like this is coming from a place of deep understanding of the source material farther than what I'm just acting. I understand how this whole story comes together. That's your perspective, so
you've got a sense of the whole machine, even though you're just your
not
little
just
part,
your part,
doing your little part, but you can feel the whole thing moving when you move.
Yes, exactly. But so my last question for you, which I know you've talked about it in other interviews, but for the people that are watching that haven't been able to see you discuss it, I know that you talked a little bit about how you guys had to shoot these scenes, which I know there was like a little mannequin that you had to look at, and then it was done like differently in another way. So I wanted to ask you about that because I spoke to Incone, who was the hybrid chopper in Drum Island, and Mark Hirlook, who was Dr. Hirlook in Drum Island. He kind of essentially had to act to her, but then do a second scene with her not in the room, so
he's another lovely human being and such an expressive open face, man.
Shout out to Incone, man.
When she gives you that wounded look, you're like, I will defend. Defend. Like,
yes. So how was that version of acting? How long did it take you to get used to kind of not really being able to make a human connection with someone when you're giving these lines?
It was the whole trick of this part. It was the whole, and I knew that from the beginning. Well, so it wasn't just like a big adjustment. It was the whole thing, because anyone can wear the nose. You can work out. You can put on the armor. They can do the camera angles. But I knew from the moment I got the part that I was never going to be able to look another actor in the eye while I was doing my part of the scene. Just because the camera's got to be in the ground. It's got to be super low. Like I wouldn't be expecting them to like lie down on a mat and look up at me, and then because that might even be worse to act with. So like from day -99, I knew that this was going to be the primary challenge, because it's so beautifully written, and their growing relationship and their understanding of one another. And as you say, that beautiful moment where they realize the truth of moving through life afraid is the whole game.
Exactly.
I knew that stuff had to sing, because it jumps off the page. It's beautiful. But now, as you say, how do you do that? So I racked my brains for a lot pre-production, and I figured that the only way I was going to be able to do it was to just watch Jacob super closely in the pre, like normally when you walk on and you're going to run your lines and do like a rough blocking, you give it like 15%, because a lot's going to change, but for us, that was like the only time we'd actually be able to do the scene looking at one another and like actually being in one another's space. So Jacob, to his credit, man, what a generous human being. And Emily too. It's just I had more scenes with Jacob, but Jacob and Emily, just in those scenes, in those moments where we would just have a little rehearsal, just the three of us together, they gave it 1,000%. I gave it 1,000, which is actually just 100. I mean, but you still, they gave it their all. They gave exactly what they were going to give on camera. So we could play with that, first of all, so you could feel it and like reciprocate, and then also just remember that and kind of like lock that feeling in. Then when you come to shoot your size, and they would do it for me and I would do it for them, you're in another area, but you're within earshot, and like you're delivering your lines at the same intensity that you would be delivering them otherwise. So when I was busy sitting in my cave, they're behind like a flyaway wall. So I'd like hear them muffled like through the wall, but I could still hear them. But like, for example, Usopp's speech, right, where he's talking about finding the mole man.
Yes.
I asked them to shoot, because sometimes they shoot my side first, sometimes they shoot their side first. I asked them to shoot their side first, because so much of it happens with them. You know, that part of the scene, they're moving. I'm sitting still and watching them, right? I don't have a lot of blocking. But I watched how Usopp told the story, you know, where he stood up, where he was afraid, where he was excited, you know, and he made me laugh so many. Dude, trying not to corpse watching that dude, because he'll find like a slightly funnier way to do something.
Yeah.
And it's hard because he knew we're doing like both sides of the coin. He would keep it in the same rhythm. He'd keep it in the same like part of the scene where he'd do something funny. He'd just do something different that was also funny at that part. So I had the great pleasure of like watching them shoot that for, you know, 2 or 3 hours. And then it came time to do my scene. So even though they put in the little plastic stand-in mannequin to get like the eye line right, and then they take the mannequin out, and now I've actually got to be looking at a little rock on the wall or something. But I can't be looking at the rock because then I'm looking past him. I need to like imagine that he's actually there and try and look at his imaginary head. And because I'm already doing that, I made myself an imaginary little Jacob. I made myself like a little Usopp.
Yeah.
There. And because he gave so much vocally while I was doing those takes, telling his story, like he was shouting in a cave to a giant. Just his exuberance, I could fall in love with. I could respect this man who's sitting here telling me a shaggy dog story in my cave while I make some soup. This is what life is about.
It is awesome.
So that's like, you asked a very good question. How did we do it? We just really brought that other actor into the scene as much as we could. Every time. Like there was not once did I do a take where they weren't there doing their lines, and not once were they doing a take where I wasn't there doing my lines. And it's a privilege to work with people like that who can be so giving, you know?
Wow, man. Oh man, Brendan, what an interview, man. Seriously, you have answered so many good questions, and it's been a time for me. You gave us a lot of time. I just want to say thank you again for the conversation and the insight, because seriously, I mean, what you brought to the role and how you helped shape not only my perspective of Usopp and Little Garden, but just broadly fans in general, everyone that I've talked to, we appreciate what you brought to it, because it helps give a better understanding to where Oda was trying to go then, because I know how involved Oda was in this process for live action. So seeing how things were changed and how things are portrayed now helps us understand, like, okay, this is what Oda was really trying to go for, and he can get it more perfectly molded now within the live action. So man, thank you, man. Seriously.
Thank you very much. Thank you for watching, because if you weren't watching, they wouldn't be making it. If they didn't make it, I couldn't talk like this.
Yes, yes.
Just for my kids.
Yeah. Well, guys, if you haven't already, make sure you go find Brendan on all socials. Which, Brendan, I guess let everyone know, where can they find you online?
On Instagram at Brendan Sean Murray. I'm gonna try and keep posting things there. I'm a 42-year-old man. I went off social media, like literally you can see I stopped posting on Facebook 2 weeks after I met my to-be wife. You know, like it's I just had slightly better things to do for about 10 years, but now I'm back. Baby.
There you go.
And so if you hit me up on Instagram, I mean, I'm doing the Cape Town Comic Con this coming weekend, but if I'm doing a con in your hood, that's where you're going to find out first. And if I'm in some new film or whatever, I'll be sure to post it there too.
Awesome. Okay. Well, guys, make sure you go check out Brendan on socials. And if you haven't already, watch season 2 of the live action. I don't know why or how it's possible if you haven't seen it yet. If you haven't, sit down, watch it, and see how they did an amazing job portraying these different arcs of One Piece. And yeah, I appreciate you guys, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.